about the Trump roller coaster, the Trump tariffs, the roller coaster, all this crazy stuff that's going on. And we are riding a roller coaster. The good news is we're riding a roller coaster. The good news is we're strapped in. The good news is we got a place to hold on to. The bad news is some of you don't like the roller coaster. Some of you is freaking out over the roller coaster. You get a choice. You can ride the roller coaster or you can ride the scooter. There's your two choices. You can ride the roller coaster and you can ride the scooter. And the big question is, did I lose money? Did I just lose money over all this? Did you lose money when the stock goes down in value? Did you lose money? Well, the correct answer is only if you sold. Only if you sold. Now, we've been teaching a lot of kids, and here's what it is. Money's a game and games are fun. Money's a game and games are fun. So let's go play the game of money. Let's go play the game of success and let's have some fun. And what's going on in the world is the big, big game. And guess what? Everybody's in the game. You're all playing the game. If you're breathing and you're taking food, you're part of the game. You're probably part of the game playing with the family, whatever it is, but you are part of that game. So let's talk about what's going on in the world and let's talk, is it good or bad? So my first question is, and I'm going to throw it in the chat. You guys can answer it real quick. Is it good or bad if the stock market goes down in value? Throw it in the chat right now. Is it good or bad if the stock market goes down in value? I'm looking at the chat here. Tracy says good. Noel says good. Are you kidding me? Keep going. Put them in here. Is it good or bad if the stock market goes down? It's good. Is it good or bad? I need to know your answer. Is it good or bad? It's both good and bad. It's good. Yep. Keep coming. It's good. You guys have been taught something different than the rest of the world because you're all saying it's good. I don't have one person that says bad. Are you guys nuts? It's bad. The whole world's falling apart. The whole place is falling apart. This is crazy. It's crazy what's going on. Well, the correct answer is it's good and bad. It's good and bad. So what we're going to talk about is we're going to be talking about the Trump tariffs and what's going on in the world. And so you know what's going on in the big game so you can play the game so that it fits with you. All of you are saying it's good. You guys are nuts. So you've got to be nuts to do what you're doing, and you better be a little bit nuts if you're going to win this game. All right, so we're going to go to the iPad and we're going to start talking a little bit about this and what's going on in the world. So the first thing I want you to understand, though, is the USA owes $37 trillion. Now, who do they owe that to? And what do they use the money for? Well, they took that money and they built stuff. All right, they built stuff. They used it for all kinds of things. They built stuff. They built stuff. They used it for bills. They did for defense. They have a budget. So they have all this money. So they've got $6 to $7 trillion that comes in every year in taxes. I don't think it's quite that much. Let's see. I'm not sure on that number, but I think it's something like maybe 5 trillion. But guess what? They spend 7. They spend 7 to 8. They spend. So they're spending money. They're spending money. They're putting that money onto the national credit card. They're losing money. They're losing 1 trillion. Now they're not losing it. They're borrowing it. They're borrowing it to build stuff, but part of it they're borrowing it to spend. And they're losing that every 120 days. When I say losing it, they're borrowing that. So this number is getting bigger. This number is getting bigger and it's getting bigger and it's getting bigger and it's getting bigger fast. Because one, they can't balance their budget. They're spending so much money on defense, and you know what their biggest problem is? It's interest. They're spending a fortune on interest. Now, do you want to know why some of the things that are going on right now? Well, when COVID hit, COVID-19, which is in 2019, which happens to have been 5 years ago, the government issued 5-year bonds and some 1-year bonds that they roll over and stuff like that. And so they issued those, and people, hey, you're going to loan or own, remember? Loan or own. You're going to be one of those things. And a lot of people said, well, I'm going to loan money to the government. I'm going to loan money to the government. And at the time, the interest rate was only 3%. So I'm going to loan money to the government, and the government agreed to pay me 3%. Now, guess what? The 5 years is up. It's 2025. And guess what? they're now looking for their money. I got to pay this guy off. It's a 5-year bond. 5 years is up, and now I got to write this guy a check. So what I got to go do is I got to go borrow another 5-year bond to replace that one because I don't have the money. So I got to go borrow it. So I'm going to literally go borrow more money. But guess what? Rates are 5.5 to 6%. So what happened to their interest costs? Now they've got $9 trillion in debt that they are refinancing. Okay, that's coming due, and they've got to issue new debt. And this was great because it was at 3%, but now it's at 5.5%. So what just happened to their borrowing costs? It's gone up dramatically. Okay, so that's a problem. That's a problem for the government. So as you can see what they're doing, now you've got an idea of what's happening. So number one, that's a problem that they've got to deal with. Now the good news is they're spending this money to make more money. But some of it they're spending just on interest. Some of their biggest expenses they have of all this expense right there is they're building stuff, they're spending money on defense, they're spending a ton of it on interest, and then they're spending it on the rest of the stuff that they're doing. But they're losing money. Hey, we're losing money. We're losing money. We're losing we're growing so fast that we're going through about $1 trillion every 120 days. So that is the problem. The other problem is the rest of the world's ganging up on them. The rest of the world is saying, "Hey, you guys were the reserve currency. Why do we use US dollars anyway? We use US dollars because during World War II, everything was in shambles. Everything was in shambles, and we became the reserve currency. But before that, years before that, it was the British pound. And it was other countries like that as you go through stuff, but we were the reserve currency and we've been using that. And we're the big dog on the street because most of the countries use that for their exchange. Now, the rest of these companies are saying, hey, guess what? We're tired of that. We don't want to use you guys. So who's ganging up on us? Brazil, BRICS, Russia. Hey, we don't want to use US dollars anymore. India, we want to use our own currency. China, Saudi Arabia, plus probably 30 more countries. Now, so when they start using less of our currency, guess what? Hey, we're not going to use your currency. So the demand, remember supply and demand? Supply and demand. Just as a quick little reminder, if you're right here and everybody wants to buy that stock, we got tons of buyers. Guess what happens to the price? Goes up. Then they all decide, hey, we don't want this anymore, so we're going to sell. So what happens? The price goes down. In real estates were low. The interest rates were low. Guess what? There's more people could buy. So what happened? More people bought and the demand went up and the price went up. Then they changed the interest rates to 6% and the demand has gone the other direction. So you see the problem, supply and demand. That is an issue. So our currency, this is kind of deep, but our currency is these guys are saying, hey, we don't want to use the USA as much. Now we have more GDP than anybody in the world. We're the biggest country with the mostest. So that is the positive side to it. But the rest of these guys are saying, hey, Brazil and Russia, we just want to change with each other. We don't want to use USA. And Russia and China are saying, hey, we just want to work with each other. We don't want to work with the USA as much. But we have to because they're the big dog. But we can also go hang out with these other dogs. So what happens is we're not using their currency as much. So guess what happens to the value of that currency? It starts to go the other direction. So now I'm just going to talk about tariffs for a second, just for 1 second. And so this is the problem. The problem is that a tariff is basically saying, hey, when we ship stuff to other countries, when the USA ships stuff to the other countries, this other country like China or somebody else is going to say, hey, we want you to add 20% to that. And that money's going to go right to the government because we need that money. So when we send stuff over there, they boosted number 20%. And so basically it costs us another 20% to do business. And the problem is over the decades and decades, all these other countries have been adding these big tariffs. Japan, all these other countries have been adding these big tariffs, and the USA hasn't done any of that. And now we're in trouble. So we'll go back and say, hey, if you're going to charge us 25%, then we want this to go the other direction. So, China, when you send us money, we want you to give us a tariff as well. We want it to be free trade, not tariff. Okay. So the tariff is when they add that tax to it. So it would be great if it was just 0, 0. Hey, it's 0, 0. We're not going to charge you and you're not going to charge them. But that's not the way it is. These guys have been charging all these extra amounts. If you try to ship a car into Japan, it's very difficult to get cars into Japan from the United States. But guess what? Japan is shoving all their stuff into the USA and we're just letting them do it. So that's a problem. So what Trump is saying is we need jobs. And guess what? All these jobs that we had in America have been shifted to other countries. And we need jobs. We need our own manufacturing. The COVID-19 really showed us our weakness. And so we're saying, okay, Japan, we're going to charge you 25%. Anytime you send us anything, we're going to charge you 25%. And Japan is saying, well, we don't want to do that. So we'll just build a factory in the USA. So Japan is building cars in the USA. Now, what does that do for the USA? It provides jobs, which is good. That increases the standard of living. People got more money. Guess what? They can buy houses, they can spend money, and that stimulates the economy. So, what he's really trying to do is he's trying to get all of these businesses, these massive companies, to come back to America. And so, that's his big deal. So now how does that affect you? Well, again, what's happened to the stock market this last week? And by the way, of the richest people in the world, and this is why we like Buffett and Berkshire Hathaway, is that all these guys, Elon Musk, this is kind of fun, Musk, Bezos, all these other guys, their stock is down. But Buffett's stock is up. Now, why is that? Well, because he's a safe haven. He's got $350 billion in cash that's sitting on the sideline. Is he thrilled with what's going on? His value's just gone up. He's got $350 trillion in cash and treasury bills. And the stock market it was too high for a lot of these companies. And so it's come back down. He's going to take all that and he's going to go buy stuff cheap. So not for every winner, there's a loser. So every winner, there's a loser. Somebody wins, somebody loses, and everybody pays a commission. All right. So now what has this got to do with you? Well, first of all, when we teach you how to do this, there's 4 ways to invest. Okay. And you're on a roll. If you buy 1 share of stock of something and it's a high flyer, it's your brother-in-law says this is a hot stock, it's going to go up and down. Boom. That's the roller coaster right there. But if you have 30 companies, some are going up, some are going down, but most of them are pretty solid. You don't have that roller coaster. If you've got 500 companies, then it's more solid because there's 500 of them. It's not this big roller coaster. This is your gambling. We don't gamble. This is gambling. This is speculating. Okay, you're buying one company, you're buying one stock, and you're just throwing the dice. We're throwing the dice. Let's see what happens to it. Okay, you're throwing the dice on one stock. But if you own 500 of them, that's better. And if you own Berkshire, the reason we like Berkshire is because they have so many businesses. They got hundreds of businesses that make money. They make money. Boom. They've got a bunch of cash sitting on the sideline. And they own stock. And what they love it is they love it when the market crashes and they buy on the cheap. That's why over time, over the last 65 years, my lifetime, BRK, Berkshire Hathaway, is made almost 20% a year. The S&P over that same long period of time is about 10%. Over the last 25 years, that number's moved down, and I can show that to you in one of the next classes. And over the last 16 years, because I'm teaching all these high school kids, this one is about 15%, and this one's about 13%. And then it's kind of changed there. It's maybe 15 and 13 here percent. Okay, so over a long period of time, that's why we suggest it. So your asset allocation, if you have 100 of something, some of it you're going to loan, some of it you're going to own. Okay, so if I got 100 of something, I may take 20% of that. I might take 10% of that and put it into US bonds. But I've got to do that at my Fidelity account or my brokerage account because guess what? They're going to give me a higher rate, maybe 5% on it. That's the scooter. You're just going to go ride the scooter. Okay. And then I might have another 10%, in various different things. Over here, loan, I've got 80% of my money here. Well, gosh, it's okay to do pick and choose. You can take 10% or 20% and pick and choose. Yeah, go have some fun with it. You can have, maybe another, say 10%, and you can hire a mutual fund. You can hire somebody. Hey, maybe they'll do better. And then what I like to do personally, and I'm not telling you what to do with your money. I'm just telling you what we do with our money. So that 80%, there's 20%, and I got 60 left. We would probably take 20 of it and put it in the S&P, and we'd probably take the other 40 and do BRK. Okay, so that would be our asset allocation. Now, some of you on the pick and choose are going to go, I'm going to go gamble. These are blue chip. This is the Tesla, and stuff that are really solid. But I'm going to go gamble. I'm going to go speculate. Now, this is the same if this was stock or this was crypto, it doesn't matter. Okay. But I'm not of that 10%. I'm going to take 3% here. I'm going to take 3% here, and I'm going to take 4% here. So when you are smarter, when your 10% is smarter than the 20%, the S&P or Berkshire, then change it and say, I'm smarter than these guys. I'm not. I've done it 3 times and I've lost 3 times. I'd make more money instead of picking and choosing. Instead of picking and choosing, if I would have just gone to the beach and gave it to Buffett. But I had fun. It was fun. I did $10 million worth of trades and it was kind of fun. But if you get really, really good at it, then you say pick and choose. Well, I'm going to be 30% pick and choose or 40% pick and choose. And that means that these other 40% is divided between mutual funds, S&P or Berkshire. Okay. And then if you're a nut job, here's where people get into trouble. They get a hot tip and they take 100% of their money and they gamble. They gamble all their money, 100% of it. And guess what? The stock goes down. They buy it at the wrong time. It goes down. They sell. And then they say the whole market's rigged. And then they're out. This is like going to Las Vegas, gambling, roulette. Roulette, you got this table right here and they spin the ball. It's got all these numbers on it. And they've got 36 numbers. There's 36 numbers on here. I'm just giving you an example of what happens here. So there's 36 numbers. And then there's a red and there's a black right there. But there's two green ones here. There's a 0 and a double 0. And you're taking your money and you're going to go, I think it's going to land on number 7, and you put all your money and then you lose, then you're out. Well, we don't do that. We don't do that. We don't even gamble red or black. We gamble on the casino. We invest in the casino, and I'm not sure which casino is going to work. So if I'm going to invest in casinos, I'm going to invest in 100 casinos. Okay. That's how I would play it versus the other. But if you want to go gamble, you get free drinks and do all that stuff, we'll go do that. But over time, this is this is a fact. Here's what Steve Wynn says, that owns the Wynn hotels, that built the Bellagio and all these beautiful hotels. He says Everybody that walks through that door, we're going to take 20% off you. So if you come in through that front door and you have $1,000, on average, we're going to take 200 of that off of you. You're going to lose that much. Some people it's going to win, some people it's going to lose, some people it's going to go here, 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 here. But when it's all said and done, whatever's gambled, we're going to take 20% of that. That's how much they're going to win. That's how much the casino is going to win is 20%. So their job is to get more people through the front door. Now, if you want to go gamble and have some fun, go do that, limit your losses and do whatever. It's the same thing here in Vegas as it is gambling. Uh, let's talk about, here's my friend Kurt. We're talking about crypto. So if you're going to put anything in crypto, there's three buckets. One is Bitcoin. Okay, it's the firstest with the mostest, and it's all over the world. The best part is that it has a limited number, 21 million coins. So it's limited. There is a limited supply. Okay, and as more people want to do it, when the demand goes up, the value is going to go up. All right. Now I'm not telling you to buy Bitcoin, but if you are going to do crypto, this is what I'd recommend. And this is what my friend Kurt taught me. Number two is Ethereum. Now, the reason we like Ethereum is because it's the software that runs a lot of these other cryptos. It's the MS-DOS. It's the Microsoft. So if you're going to do that, and then the other ones is pick and choose and gamble. These are your high flyers. Some are going to go high, some are going to go low, all this stuff. You can take one and you can go gamble it. But if I do that, what I've done is I bought like 30 or 40 of them. Some of them go up, some of them go down. But I've taken, let's say that I had 10% all of my money in crypto. Well, I'd take 3% of it and put it there, 3% and put it there, and probably the other 4% put it over here and go have some fun with it. But again, I'm not telling you what to do with your money. I'm just telling you what I would do with it. Are you gambling? Big question. Are you investing or gambling? Now, let's finish up with the roller coaster. You get off on the roller coaster, guess what? If you've got this big old roller coaster, it's going to come up and down. Here's what I recommend. Do not get off when the roller coaster is going down. If you're on the roller coaster, ride it. Ride it out. Have fun with it. Okay, you know that it's going to end up, eventually it's going to end up higher because of inflation. Okay, when you don't own anything, it's inflation. If you own stuff, it's appreciation and we appreciate it. What goes up in value? What goes up in value? Real estate does over a long period of time. Stocks and businesses. Why? Because the governments can't pay their bills, and so they're borrowing more money. And here's the last example. If there was 10 apples and there was $10, every apple's worth $1. But if we go print 30, another 20, so there's $30 in circulation, and there's only 10 apples, well, each apple's $3. So if I own apples, I'm thrilled because my $1 investment turned into a $3 investment. If I got to go buy apples for my family to survive and eat, then it sucks because it's inflation. All right. So as my kids would say, that's great information, Dad, but it's more information than I wanted to know. Just kind of in closing, it's a roller coaster. You don't want to get, I'm 60, I'll be 66 in a week. I don't get on the roller coasters anymore. When I was a kid, I rode all the roller coasters. My grandkids just love them. My special needs son loves it. We had to pay people to keep riding with him because we weren't willing to ride with him. I don't do roller coasters anymore. I've had 2 back surgeries. I do a scooter and I have fun watching my kids have fun, but I've been there, done that. So I don't gamble. And it's the roller coaster. And the only thing I can say to you is either don't get on the roller coaster or but I would recommend you get on the roller coaster because on average, you're going to do 8 to 10 to 12% over a long period of time. Berkshire's, like 12 to 14. Last 15 years, it's 12, 13%. You put it into a bond, you're going to get 4 to 5%. If you put it into an investment place, like Go Trade or something else. If you just take it down to your bank, they're not going to pay you squat. The bank is not your friend. You're loaning money to the bank and they're not going to pay you anything because that's not their job. Their job is to take your money and they want to take your money and they're going to loan it to somebody else and they're going to make money off your money. Okay. So you're not going to get the 4 or 5% that you're going to need. And even if you did tie it up with them for 6 months, you need it, you take it out, they're going to whack you half your interest or something like that. So it's kind of terrible. So you need an investment account and then you can either loan or own. So the Trump tariffs, it's all part of the game. As long as you know what's going on in the game, you know the rules of the game, you can watch from the cheap seats, you can jump on the roller coaster, you can get on the merry-go-round, it doesn't matter. But where people lose is they make money and they spend it all and they might save a little bit, but their money's not working for them. You got to get your money working for you. And I'll talk about that in our next segment. Thanks, everybody. That's like my kids would say, that's great information, Dad, but it's more info than I wanted to know. But thanks for watching. We'll be right back.